Kilimanjaro Safari. Before you begin your trip, you should know that the unpaved roads of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve.
I'm excited for my safari ride.
To ensure safe. Hello everyone. Welcome to Kilimanjaro Safari. You're welcome to ring. You may experience and some.
Alrighty, my friends on the right hand side, please watch your hands out feet. I just wanted to remind everyone that we do have real animals out there. And this is a real truck on a real road, so please remain fully seated with your hands on feet and legs inside the vehicle. I think we're going to have a pretty good chance of finding some today. First one I see is on the right. It's called an okapi. And even though the okapi does have some black and white stripes on its legs, it's not related to the zebra. It's actually most closely related to the giraffe. We know that based off of its skull structure, the ossicones on its head, and its prehensile tongue. The word prehensile just means fingers, so the okapi and the giraffe, they both use their tongues like fingers to grab onto leaves, branches, and other vegetation. As we do continue making our way through the forest, we're going to see what other animals we might be able to find up. Ahead of us. I'm going to check across that water just in case there is anything over there. I see a black rhino. It's out moving around. It looks kind of like a big boulder with clay on it. The black rhinoceros, it's actually the smallest of the 3 African rhinos. They only weigh about 3,000 pounds. There's another one laying right in front of the cliff here. With those black rhinos, they do have pointed prehensile upper lips that they use like fingers to grab onto leaves and foliage here in the forest. And over on your right, you're going to see a black and white bird laying in those bushes. It's a saddle-billed stork. It don't have very long legs, but it also has a 9-foot wingspan, which is about the width of the canopy over your head. And then if you keep your eye on the right, up on those hills, those dark brown animals, they're called bongos. Both male and female bongos have horns that point backwards on their head. That helps them run through the forest without getting caught on any low-hanging branches or shrubs. Their horns actually push those branches out of the way, so it greatly improves their speed and their stealth, and because of that, they're known as the ghost of the forest. But as we start making our way into near the river, over on your left, those light brown animals there, they're called greater kudu. The 2 I see are females. They don't have any horns. And the greater kudu, it does also use its large scoop ears to navigate through the forest rather than relying on its eyesight. We're moving a lot closer toward the Safi River right now. We're going to look for some aquatic and semi-aquatic animals together. I do already see some pink-backed pelicans up on the river bank. The pink-backed pelican, it does of course get its name from the pink color of the skin on its back. Pelicans, they're omnivores, which means that they eat plants, animals, and just about anything else that fits inside their bills. And as we do continue along, I'm going to keep my eye on the water here on the left, looking for some movement, shadows, anything like that under the water that could suggest an animal beneath the surface. It's also possible if these animals have moved a bit further down the river. I'll keep my eye out for them just the same. It looks like I do see them in this deeper water here. You might see a hippo. And the hippopotamus, it's nocturnal. It spends most of its day underwater sleeping. But much easier for us to see. These are Nile crocodiles. And the Nile crocodile, it can grow to be about 16 feet in length. They bite with a force of 2,000 pounds per square inch. And I do need everyone to stay fully seated for me throughout the entire safari today. Now you might notice that crocodile out there that looks like it's smiling at us. It's actually how it cools off. Nile crocodiles, they don't have sweat glands, so the easiest way for them to cool down is to open their mouth and release all the hot air, kind of like a dog panting, but with a lot more teeth. for its expansive grasslands. Those grasses are typically quite a bit shorter than the grass we've seen in the forest. The trees are also usually spread further apart with higher canopies around 18 to 20 feet or taller. And the combination of short grass and tall sparse trees means that the animals that call the savanna home, they have less places to hide and camouflage. So instead they're going to rely more heavily on their speed and agility to escape from predators. But it's not to say that these animals can't camouflage. Of course they still can. They just use slightly different techniques than those animals we saw in the forest. And once we get to the bottom of this hill, the first animals we're going to see are some red and white animals with really big horns. They're called Ankole cattle. Ankole cattle's horns can reach about 6 feet across, and they are filled with a honeycomb structure that helps them circulate their blood and regulate their temperature. And the Ankole, it's also known as the Watusi cattle, after the Watusi people in Africa that helped domesticate them. They're actually the only domestic species that we have in all of Harambe. We're going to keep moving forward. I think we have a pretty good chance of seeing some more animals toward the end of this clearing here. Over on your left-hand side, friends, you're going to see a cave, and on the back side of the cave on that hill, I do see quite a few African painted dogs. African painted dogs, they are the most successful hunters in Africa. They have success rates usually between 80 and 90%. And that's because they hunt in packs and they take turns chasing their prey until it simply just falls over from exhaustion. But teamwork does make the dream work, and they are very, very good at what they do. Now up ahead of us, I do see quite a bit of movement. I see a lot of species up ahead. The dark brown antelope with the really long pointed horns, they're called sable antelope. And sable antelope, they get their name from the sable color of their fur. They have long pointed horns that are angled just slightly backwards for self-defense from predators. It looks like they're hanging out near a bunch of wildebeest. Wildebeest travel in herds of 10 to 1,000 together at once, which does of course make them the largest herding animal in the world aside from us humans. And a herd of wildebeest, it is called a confusion. It looks like this wildebeest here really wants to cross the road in front of us, so we're going to go ahead and let it. And of course, friends, you may have also seen those giraffe all around us. They are Maasai giraffe.
Gotta cross the road.
Yeah, when one moved, they all moved. Now the last one's like, okay, I guess I'll come too.
It's coming toward us.
Look at this.
Now, Maasai giraffes, they are known for their small spots. Those spots, they have a rough, jagged edges, as you can see. The Maasai, specifically, it is also the largest of the giraffe species. They're born at about 6 feet tall, and they reach 18 to 20 feet by adulthood. That's the perfect height to grab onto tall tree canopies out here on the savannah. It looks like everyone wants to cross today, so we are just going to keep letting them cross, and then we'll be back on the move together. There's a couple more Maasais coming down the hill. Looks like they are looking for a snack today. Alrighty, friends, it does look like those wildebeest are still pretty close to the road, so we're gonna go a little slow past them, or as we say in Swahili, poli poli. Oh, it does want to cross. It's really faking me out for a second. But we're gonna go nice and slow, like I said, through these wildebeest here. And once again, this is a confusion of wildebeest. That's what we call a group of wildebeest.
Look at his tongue. Oh, he's reaching out. I don't know.
Now we're going to see another Maasai on our left. That is the giraffe. Really reaching for some leaves today. Great view for you.
Oh, he's getting...
And then we're also going to pass some Hartman's mountain zebra. There's one here on the left, pretty close to the truck. And then there will be two on our right in just a moment. Now the Hartman's mountain zebra is the only type of zebra that has a dewlap, which is a flap of skin under their neck that helps them with temperature regulation. You may, of course, also notice those black and white stripes. They are 100% unique to each and every zebra, like a human fingerprint, but more importantly, those stripes do help them camouflage. When a herd of zebras is running, all of their stripes blend together, so you can't tell where one zebra ends and the next begins. It's an optical illusion we call the dazzling effect, and because of that, we do call a herd of zebras a dazzle. Friends, we're going to keep moving along. We're going to see if we can catch up with any animals up in front of us. And it does look like I'm starting to see quite a few fallen trees, so sometimes that can be a good indicator of an elephant migration. But with fallen trees, I can't tell if they fell recently or a long time ago, so I don't know if those elephants are nearby, far away, or if we'll even be able to catch up with them. Of course, we will do our best to find them, though. I do love to see those African elephants. And it looks like it must have been pretty recent. I'm seeing one on the right already, two on the right. Looks like it's probably related females. They're pretty small for African elephants.
Remember, James?
And you may notice that they have quite a bit of sand and dirt up on their backs. That is because they have very, very sensitive skin. And elephants, they're quite intelligent, rather intuitive. They've learned that throwing sand, dirt, clay, and mud on their backs creates a nice protective layer between their skin and the sun. It's much like we would use a sunblock, but of course those elephants, they're working with the materials that they have readily available on the savannah. We're going to see if we can find any other elephants up ahead. And if you do want to help out some African elephants in the wild, one way that you can do that is by recycling your old electronic devices that you're no longer using. Most electronics have a mineral called coltan that's being very heavily mined for the production of new technology. But by recycling those devices that you're not using anymore, we can reuse the coltan, and that's going to protect and preserve some of the habitats out in Africa, because we don't need to mine as much coltan. That's going to be great for elephants and a lot of other species that do call Africa their home. It's a really easy way to get involved with conservation work. And you can do it no matter where you call home. Now, as we do continue through this area, it looks like there might be some elephants all the way up ahead. Looks like I'm seeing some ears flapping near that baobab tree. That's a really big tree in the center of the clearing. And it looks like I'm seeing at least 3 or 4 elephants out there. It's probably a herd of females. Now, most male elephants, when they reach adulthood at about 14 years old, they'll leave their herd to go off in search of a mate. So we usually see males out on their own. But females, they're a little bit more social, and they'd like to stay with their moms and the rest of their herd for almost their entire adult life. So usually, these larger groups are going to be related females and babies. And that one there at the front, that's a baby elephant. It's about 6 years old, so she won't be an adult for quite a while still. It does look like we're about to catch up with some take inside, it looks like they're greater flamingos. The greater flamingo is the largest and the lightest color of all the flamingo species. When they stand up nice and straight, those flamingos are just a couple inches short of 5 feet tall. But a flock of flamingo like this one, it's called a flamboyance. And all of those gray flamingos in the flamboyance are baby flamingos. It normally takes 1 to 2 years for the beta carotene from the shrimp in their diets to turn their feathers pink. So we know any flamingo with gray feathers is less than a year or 2 old. And friends, this right here, this is my favorite view in all of Harambe, with the flamingos, the palm trees, the water, the baobab tree, and all of those elements. I think it's beautiful. But we're going to continue our safari. There's lots of other beautiful sights up ahead as well. Hopefully a lot of animals for us to find together too. It does look like the mud wallow is pretty quiet at the moment. I'm sure you noticed that our animals, they do get to roam around. They get to choose where they want to hang out. They can cross the road even. So sometimes that does mean that we have to drive for a little while before we find that next species. But I think usually they're not too far away. So I'm just going to move around these mud wallows. It does look like I'm seeing an animal. It's going to be up ahead on our left. There's kind of a hill right in front of us. And up on top of that hill, I do see a few cheetahs. They're laying right before the start of the grass line. Cheetahs, they are known for their speed. They're very, very fast. They can go from 0 miles per hour to 60 miles per hour in just a few seconds. But they do also have very, very good eyesight, and that's largely due to the black markings around their eyes that help redirect sunlight, kind of like athletes that wear eye black. But because of those markings, cheetahs, they're able to visually track and catch up with their prey even while the sun is out. And that does make them very unique from other big cats because they like to hunt during the day, whereas most big cats do prefer to hunt at night when they have a visual advantage.
Up on that road.
This rock formation here on our left, it's called a kopie. Sometimes we see animals on the kopies. This side, it looked pretty quiet today, but we'll go check out that other side just in case we can find anything hanging out over there. It does look like our lions are out in the front of the kopies. I see 2 lionesses and our male hanging out on top of those rocks, and they are all sleeping. That's because lions, they're nocturnal. During the day, lions, they can only see as well as us humans, but at night they can actually see about 6 times better than us, so they have quite the advantage at night. And usually it's going to be those lionesses that go out hunting. The male lion, he's going to stay back and guard over their cubs and their territory. But if you are still here a little bit closer to sunset, keep an ear open for those lions. A lion roar can be heard from up to 5 miles away. And over on your left, just past that fallen log, I see some warthogs. Warthogs are the largest burrowing mammals in the world. You can see their burrows all along the ditch line. They use their curved tusks to dig out their burrow, and then they typically back in. That way their tusks face outwards. No one tries to sleep over with them. This little antelope that's hanging out right by the road on our left, population could recover and rebound. And over the last 120 years, we've worked really hard on Bontebant conservation. So now there's almost 3,000 of them all around the world in wildlife reserves like Harambe. And I think that that's so inspiring because if one person could save the Bontebant species, think how much a truck full of us can do for our favorite animals as well. And speaking of those animals, here on our left, these are Nigerian dwarf goats. They have a very high quality milk that's excellent for drinking and making cheeses. So that's great for us to bring back toward the village. We can also let the warden know that their goats are doing quite well today. Very active. All around the yard, on the roof, they were in the truck. It's kind of everywhere.
I like making videos. Guys, if you like watching my videos, I would love to show you more.
But they have plenty of other species for you to discover yourself as well. It is a 15 to 20 minute self-guided trail. It's wheelchair and stroller accessible for everyone. And it's really easy to get there from the safari. When you exit off of my truck, if you take a right, you're going to be heading straight into Gorilla Falls. But if you prefer not to visit right away, you can take a left instead. That's going to bring you back down the hill toward the village where you can find food, restrooms, and anything else you might be looking for today. But of course, I would take that right. I do love to see those animals. And we are getting pretty close to the dock. If I have any wilderness explorers on board, the name of this truck is Simba 1. Simba is Swahili for lion, and 1 is English for the number 1. So that'll be your code word to pick up your badge on the trail as you're exiting.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Watch Nyla grow for more videos. Bye-bye. See you next time.